Hello, and welcome back to the Write Your Path podcast. My name is Lolly. I am a writer, editor, book doula, and writing coach. And today we have my dear friend Ashley on. You may recognize Ashley from my Instagram. We have done a ton of lives together. And she's one of my favorite people to collaborate with because, as you will learn in this episode, she's all about community, female entrepreneurship, and just being a badass lady. So welcome, Ashley.
Wow, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up in Mexico City? A little bit about your personal and professional background so people can get to know you.
How much time do we have?
Ooh, as much as you want, baby.
All right, I'm Ashley. I'm the founder of Pithaya. We're a community of women entrepreneurs. I'm also the director of operations for a small sales and marketing company. So how did I end up in Mexico City? I have wanted to live in a Spanish-speaking country since my 20s.
Ooh.
And every time the opportunity came up, because I worked remotely or one time because I had gotten laid off, I would just talk myself out of it. And I think for me in the pandemic, like a lot of people, it was just one of those moments where you're just reckoning with yourself, am I going to do the thing or not? So prior to where I am today or doing what I do today, I spent about a decade in franchising and tech. So I was working for Amazon in the pandemic. I kept doing that thing where I'm like, well, I don't have enough money to do it. It's you're never going to feel like you're ready to take the plunge and work for yourself. So I just gave myself a deadline, told my boss, and in 2021 left that. So I came to Mexico City. I was in and out in 2022. I visited a few other countries in Latin America over the past couple years. And I just realized this summer, Mexico City is where I want to be. So here I am. I just signed a 1-year lease. So it feels very official.
It took a long time.
Yeah, so it's been a journey, but
I've been trying to convince Ashley to move here since 2017.
I know. And
it took almost 10 years, so we did it.
And I think I knew it in my heart, but I was like, well, let me try some cities in Colombia. Let me try Argentina. And then it was just kind of to the topic we're going to talk about, community here is, for me, it's been unmatched to other cities or countries.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know, just the type of people who come here, I'm like, oh, these are my people.
Yeah. It's really interesting because as I've talked about before on this podcast, I thought I was going to move back to Europe after a remote year. And then I got there and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I already have everything I want in Mexico City. And I was literally trying to recreate that in Amsterdam. And I was like, why would I start from scratch here when I already have everything I want somewhere else? I'm just going to go back.
Yep.
Because community was literally, I got really lucky because when I moved here, I moved into a house that was half Mexican, half expat. And the friend that invited me to live there and I are very compatible with our things that we like to do, our passions, music and food and da-da-da. And so he attracted very similar people to what I jive with. So I was like, wow, I got really lucky just walking into a beautiful community here. Yeah. And then from there it's just
I would say I got lucky knowing you when I moved here. Because that's opened a lot of doors that have helped me create community here. It's you just need to know one person.
Yes, 100%.
Here, and I just feel everyone's kind of the same. Even though we all come from different walks of life and different professions, I'm oh, you can talk about spiritual stuff here, and people aren't oh.
Yeah, they're not oh, you're one of those.
Yeah, so I don't know. The people who come here, I'm oh, there's a common thread.
Yeah.
Across the people who choose to be here.
And I have also mentioned this before, but I was talking about this with someone, especially around the talks about gentrification in Mexico City. And my Mexican friend was like, well, of course people keep coming here. She's like,
it's great.
This was the site of Tenochtitlan, which was a huge spiritual hub for the Aztecs for thousands of years. Yeah. And I was like, oh, duh. That energy doesn't go away just because a place is conquered by someone else. So the city itself has always attracted people. And I also believe it very much will take you in or spit you out because I know people personally who plan to move here and they were no, I can't stay. Mexico City was no to them. And me, I tried to leave and it was no, but you got to come back.
No, I definitely feel it's there's a draw.
Yes.
I even the other day I had a bad day in a first world way where I was just oh, I'm tired. Yeah. I don't know. I think I stepped in a puddle and I'm but I was that's the test, right? Even on your worst day in a city, you're still okay, but I still embrace it versus I lived in Philly for a year. And on my first day, I stepped in a puddle and I just like started crying. And I was like, this is a sign. I'm not supposed to be here. So I think there is like a draw. Like you try to like rationalize. Like I was like, I love Buenos Aires. I could be happy here. And I'm like, am I just gonna like try to recreate Mexico City? Like, or I would just have to convince myself like this makes sense. So I think we're the same.
Yeah, definitely. And it's very cool because it draws a certain type of person, and I feel it definitely draws people who like are interested in healing or like they don't know what they want to do, and so they're here to like find their path.
Yes.
And so even if they don't know like consciously I'm here to heal, they're still here to figure shit out.
Yeah.
And so it draws like a certain type of people, and then you're like, oh, you're like looking into this, like, oh, I just tried this, like you should come try this too.
And it's so like more accepted, I think, than in parts of the US. Like I have a good friend in Alabama, where I'm from, and she was like, you're the only person I can talk to about like astrology and healing, and because she's like a therapist, but she's also into like kind of, you know, our woo-woo healing methodologies. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Now that I think about it, I don't know that I was as into, I mean, I was into yoga in the US, but I don't know that I was like exploring all these different, like, like the, I don't know, Anastasia, a friend of ours, has been doing these like meditations every week. And it's like,
that's
with like,
right?
Yeah, with like the what do you call it? The quartz bath and all these things that are like nothing new, but I'm just like, I never explored this in the US. And here I'm like, to your point, like people introduce things to you all the time, and it's like normalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the US, yoga is still seen as like a form of exercise. Like it's not seen, I mean, I just had Chelsea on, we were talking about there's like 8 limbs of yoga.
Yeah.
And the physical practice is one of the 8 limbs. It's like a huge school of like philosophy and religious spiritual practices. And physical practices are literally just helping you get ready so you can sit comfortably in a seated position to meditate.
Yeah.
And that's completely, I started practicing yoga at 16 years old. I didn't know any of that shit until I got here and like actually learned what it was. And I was like, why do we completely ignore that in the US? It's like, no, we can't be seen as a certain, like espousing a certain type of belief. So we are just physical exercise. And I'm like, you lose so much.
Yeah.
And like so many different ways to connect with people if you exclude that.
Yeah. I think it's actually banned in Alabama, or like from schools or something. Like fact check me, but in recent years, it was either banned for being taught in like public schools or something because of like
church and
religion.
State.
Yeah. Because we're the Bible Belt.
Oh my God. I love that they're like separation of church and state, except if the religion or the church is like Christianity, and I'm just like, no, what?
Yeah. There's only one religion, obviously, Lolly. What do you mean?
Oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah.
What do you want to talk about today?
So I know that you started Pithaya because you wanted to create a professional platform for female entrepreneurs to like find community. So I just wanted to talk about your kind of perspective on community, both personally and professionally, and kind of how you got to a place where you were like, okay, I need to start a business that is like around this value that I hold so dearly.
Yeah. So community, I would say prior to starting Pithaya, like community in my personal life usually centered around an interest, right? Like I had my yoga friends and my college friends and whatever other things I had going on. I never really thought about it a lot, but professionally, I realized I didn't put a lot of intention behind it either. I think I was good at networking, but I wouldn't say I had a professional community. But I was really good at networking. I was good at like maintaining one-on-one relationships. I was good at, you know, like having standing calls with people and had people who could help me, but I wouldn't say it was a community. It was like a network of professionals. So when I left Amazon, one of the first things that hit me was like, I missed having like people around me. Like even though I worked remotely, I was like, but I have like coworkers online, and maybe it's not a community, but there was like I was surrounded by people.
It was like camaraderie.
Yeah. And I realized, so I left Amazon, I took a couple of months off, and then I started freelancing, and I was like toying around with different business like ideas. And I was like, oh, this is kind of not just lonely, but also like, I don't know what I'm doing. So like, I don't know how far I'm going to go just me being in my head all day. And so I was in San Francisco. I tried like the local, it was still like the pandemic technically. So like there weren't a ton of in-person meetups. I tried some online things, but just nothing really stuck. Like I just was like, I don't know who to call if I have a question about my taxes, or if I'm having a day where I'm doubting myself because this is taking longer to pull together. So that was how the idea of Pithaya was born. I guess it was like personal and professional, because and our initial focus was on mental health, because after about like, I don't know, maybe a year or so, I was like, oh, this is like really hard. And we talk about mental health. I think like the public discourse around mental health has changed, and we're like acknowledging it, but like what it means to actually take care of it, I don't know if we're like in the business world, I don't know if we're actually doing that. Like, you know, companies are like, we value mental health, but then they have their employees work 80 hours a week. I'm like, well, that's why they have bad mental health. Yeah. So it's like
they're like treating the symptoms, not the source.
Yeah, and in entrepreneurship, there's so much I don't know, there's so much like emphasis and so much you're rewarded for how hard you work or how hard you say you work. So there's like the mental health aspect of just like building a business, working for yourself in any capacity, whether it's, you know, solo, like if you're freelancing or if you're building a $1 billion company, it's hard. Yeah. It requires something of you that is just not easy, and it requires you to grow every day, which can be mentally taxing. But also like, it's like you're rewarded for it. Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm burned out. People are like, yes, you're
so backwards.
So I built the community to focus on mental health. So we started a meetup, and I used to host like weekly journaling exercises, like strategy sessions, like a mix of business and mental health, but mostly mental health focused. And it helped me tremendously just to know like 2 or 3 times a week that I'm meeting with more or less the same group of women. We're talking about not just like the bad things, but the good things too. Just building that, I don't know, it was like transformative for me. So I've just been building that for the past few years, and it's made me think about community, and I guess in other ways too, like the decision to move to Mexico City. I realized like, oh, having a core group of people, you know, we may not be working towards the same goal, but we are kind of on a similar path with what we want out of life. Yeah, has been really like affirming. Yeah. So I think I went from like not really thinking, like not really defining community, to once I kind of got on a more authentic path, realizing like, oh, I need to be around people who are going to remind me of like who I am, professionally and personally.
And who have the same values, right? Like getting out of the rat race and realizing that life is not meant to be lived to work, but like we work as a means to be able to live the life that we want. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people are definitely on that same wavelength here, because they have like very intentionally left that behind, whether they're coming from like the US or wherever. And they're like, no, like here I can have a pace of life that's a lot slower, and that I can intentionally prioritize like the things that are most important to me.
Yeah, which is something, you know, we both, I think, practice like gratitude. And it's something I constantly remind myself of, because I'm like, even when things are hard, I'm like, you ask for this, and you're so lucky to be able to build this kind of life, which it hasn't been an easy path for me. Like it took me a while to figure out like my stride on kind of like the freelance contracting side, to building Pithaya and like bootstrapping, and then hitting a wall and being like, well, I don't have any more money. Like, what do I do next? And revamping it in a way that fits my financial reality. Yeah. So it hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. Yeah. And but I don't know if I would have been able to stay this course without some aspect of community, because it's so easy, even though like the rat race is uncomfortable and just unhealthy in a lot of ways for a lot of people, it's familiar. Yeah. It's predictable. And there's like I was like, at every 6 months I'd be like, should I go back to corporate? Because, you know, there's a steady paycheck and there's free-ish health insurance. And people like get what you do when you say like, oh, I'm a program manager for Amazon. They're like, oh, I got it. Yeah. But if you're like,
they can put you in a box where they like want you.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we applaud this. But if you're like, well, I have 3 clients that I'm contracted with, and I'm building this thing and I write this thing, they're like, they just can't comprehend it. And so then they try to like poke holes in it. Yeah. And just because they don't understand, I don't think people even mean like harm when they do that. I think they just can't wrap their arms around it, because in the US and other countries, but it's just like this idea of like, have a job. Yeah. Go there 5 days a week, complain about it, go to happy hour and drown your woes. Yeah. And just go back to the job the next day is like normal.
Yeah. And we're so conditioned. Even like I remember when I got back from Spain where I was teaching English and I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And my parents were like on my ass to get a job. And I was like, but I don't know what I want to do. Like how, like do I just get any random job? Like I don't.
Place I go to where they just tell me what to do.
Right. And so I finally like got my only 9-to-5 like in-person job.
Yeah.
And I fucking hated it. And I was so depressed. And it's like, they don't know. Like, that's what they were taught too. They were taught, you go to college, you graduate, you get a job. And so like, I had gone to college and then I didn't have a job. And my parents were like, this is your next step. And I was like, okay. And then I did it and I was depressed.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, there's got to be another way.
Yeah. And like, not saying all jobs are bad, because for some people that makes sense. And like, we will always need people to work in the companies that other people have started. There's merit to that if you can find,
and if you find
a job and you like something, and that actually gives you. I'm always like, at this point in life, I'm like, what's the best thing for your nervous system? Because entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
100%.
Like it is. Like has wrecked my nervous system. Like I mean, it's better now, but like in that path of figuring out how to make it work for me, like there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of like doubt that can crop up. There's just a lot of like, what the fuck am I doing every day? And that everyone shouldn't go through that.
Yeah.
If having a 9-to-5 that pays well, that doesn't make you miserable, that fits your lifestyle in general, like that's okay. Yeah. But a lot of them don't, in my experience. Yeah. Even I have actually been fortunate where like even the jobs that I've had that I've enjoyed or like weren't too taxing and I made great money, I still was kind of like, but what else? And now for me it was like, okay, this is just not, even in the best case scenario, I'm still like, I think I'm supposed to be doing something different. For me it was like less of the like, I'm so miserable. I mean, Amazon, like I did burn out just from like the sheer volume of work that we did. But I didn't hate the work. It was just more like, I think I should be using my talents in a different way, and that like avoidance of like doing the thing that I should be doing, like that I knew I should have been doing, like made me miserable. Like that constant being like, when is that day gonna come when I can do the thing I really want to do? Yeah. And then I realized too, like, and one thing I appreciate about being in Mexico City is like, the US is like so like work hard, play hard, and I noticed for me a lot of that play hard was really just like, I'm trying to make up for like the thing I'm lacking in my 10-hour workday. So I'm like, I'm shopping, I'm going to happy hour, I'm doing expensive things, which are great. I still do those. But like from a place of like compensation. Yeah. And here I'm like, I'm so much more balanced. Like I'm like, oh, I don't like buy a bunch of shit that I don't need. Yeah. Just because I'm having a bad day. Yeah. Like I had a bad day yesterday and I was like, I didn't even feel compelled to like have a glass of wine or like go do something. I had McDonald's for dinner. Yeah. But like, it was just, I was like, oh, there's a version of me a few years ago that would have been like, I've had a hard week, I should go buy something. And it's just, that was how it came out for me. So it's just like, I knew I was just not on the right path, I guess.
Well, and that's the whole point of capitalism, if you think about it. Like in college, I wrote this paper. I don't know where it is. I would love to read it again. I remember the name though. It was Copulating for Capitalism. Mm-hmm. And it's basically like, that's what they want you to do. They want you to stay like in the hamster wheel. So you're working 9-to-5 so that when you get out, you're the one to make up for the fact that you're unhappy. And therefore you start buying shit you don't need. And like the cycle continues, right? And so it's like this over consumerism because we're like, how do we find happiness? We buy shit. Yes. And that's how the wheels of capitalism keep turning. Yes. And so once you like realize that and you're like, there's another option, because that's the thing, most people don't realize there's even another option,
which is crazy. Yeah. You think the US has like what, 300 million people or something? I do feel like in the cities, like New York and San Francisco's and the Chicago's and LA's, you get a little more variety, I guess, in lifestyle. Yeah. But like I'm from Alabama, like I never fit in there in high school, and even going back now, I'm just like, I love going home to visit my parents. Yeah. Like, I'm probably there too often.
Oh, they love it.
Well, yes, my mom. She's like, stay as long as you want. My dad's like, so when is your return flight?
It's like, oh my God, I'm at home for like an hour. My mom's like, when do you leave? I'm like, bitch, but I'm like, appreciate my presence.
Yeah, no, but it's so funny. Like, as a teenager, I was like, I hate it here. And I've grown to appreciate it for what it is. But I'm also like, I know I don't belong here. Like, I would be like the person sticking out like a sore thumb left or, and that's most of the US. It's easy, and I'm not like faulting people for like conforming to those things, because we talk about community, like as humans we need a sense of belonging. Yeah. And that's kind of how you belong in the US, right? Yeah. Like it's like if you live in a mid-sized city and most people are going to have a 9-to-5, have 2.5 kids, live in the suburbs, and go to Marshall's on the weekends, and like you want to belong, and you will do that too. It's not bad. For me, it just like didn't feel great, and I was like, I just feel like there's a different way. I don't know what that way is, and I think I'm finding it here. But I mean, I do go to Marshall's when I go back to the U.S. because I need to belong. So
that's like me going to Target, even though I really should not be giving my money to Target.
No,
but I'm like, it's so nostalgic too.
We'll talk about that.
It's like, oh my god,
we're not supposed to go, and I'm like, wow.
I know.
Pretty good. I've been pretty good.
And I'm like, oh, I remember when I came here with my high school boyfriend.
Well, there's also this idea. Have you seen there's a list of companies that we should support and not support?
Oh yeah. And
I'm like, I'm doing my best. And sometimes I'm like, well, I really need this thing, and I'm really sorry. And hopefully I'll balance it with something else in the world. Yeah. But to your point with capitalism, like I'm sure if you dig into most companies, you're gonna find a reason to not support them.
Oh, 100%.
We just have the list now. It's like we have the current reasons.
Yeah, but there's so
dig into
many
most of them.
reasons.
Like we probably should support any corporation. Yeah. But realistically, they're part of the fabric of part of our cultural fabric, and
that's the thing. Yeah. It's like there's no way to get 100% out of the system.
But we're doing our best.
Yeah, we're doing our best. We still live within this societal structure that is capitalistic and patriarchal, but we're trying to carve our own path in it as much as we can.
And there's just I'm not gonna try to paraphrase it, but there was a meme I saw on Instagram the other day, and it was just basically none of us can fix the whole world. So if that feels too overwhelming to you, as it should, because you can't do that individually, just your little morsel of goodness is going to have a ripple effect. So just keep doing the little things that you can.
And in your community, right?
Yeah.
In your own community, how can you support the ideals or the values that you feel most connected to? Start there. Start small.
That's really all you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one reason I love hosting people at my home, because that's one of my values from when I was little. We always had our family of choice. So we had our biological family, but we had our family of choice. And so my mom every Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve would open up the house to anyone who didn't have a place to go. So it was really beautiful, and I loved it. And so that's one of has always been one of my core values is just opening my community and my home to people who might not have a place yet, or they're still just getting settled here, or they don't know. And I'm oh my God, please come. You'll meet people. So that's always been one of my...
That makes so much sense about how you are. No, because you're so good at that. You do. I feel every holiday, even non-holidays, you're just I think about Thanksgiving and the size of the group chat of people who are interested, and I'm what is she doing? But it also felt of course she's doing it. No one else would do that. Yeah. But I think that's so beautiful, especially with from personal experience, appreciating someone looking out for you when you're getting adjusted.
Yeah.
Because even though everything's online, there's so many things you just don't know until you're in a place.
100%. You
don't know where I'm going to yoga. There's 50 studios online. Which ones are good?
Yeah.
If you need to go to the doctor, because I know you've translated for people at the doctor. It's these are things you don't think about.
Yeah.
You just that. And then to your point, it helps people you kind of plant the seeds for people to then form their own communities.
Yeah.
I've stolen some of your friends.
Yeah.
But there's our friends now.
Yeah, there are friends.
But I love that. I feel like community, I have some friends in the U.S. who in our late 30s, early 40s have moved to new cities, and they've realized, and I think this is true, it's hard to make friends, and it's actually kind of hard to build community because you actually have to put effort in it. I think up until college, it was kind of built in for you, right?
Yeah.
Your roommate kind of became, and the people, I didn't have to try that hard in college. And even in the corporate world, if you stay at a company long enough, you have people. I don't know if you're all you come from different walks of life, but it's you're not alone. And when you if you become an entrepreneur or you move somewhere in your 30s or 40s and you work remotely, it's you have to go out and intentionally build community. It means inviting people to things. It means going to things with people.
Yeah.
It means, one of the things I like here is in our community, people actually, we do share goals. I think I'm going to the intention setting thing on Thursday. And I was oh, that's so nice to do with other people.
I love that.
And so it's talking to a girlfriend about this. I'm like, I think you have to like, she was like just saying like it's been hard to make friends in her city where she's lived for 2 years now. I'm like, I think you have to like talk to people. You have to go to coffee shops and just be like hello and like make it, which is hard for introverts, but it's not even about introversion and extroversion. It's about like investing in other people. And then I know my like superpower with community is a little bit like organizing, not so much like opening my home that way, but like I like to like think like, oh, who would be the good people, who would be like 4 good people to do this thing, and like bringing people connector vibes. So like that's like where it just comes easily for me. So like you got to figure out where like you shine from an investment standpoint. It doesn't have, community doesn't mean 200 people. It can be 3 people. It can be 3 people. It can be 2 people. Yeah. That you just intentionally
and then from there it'll
and you intentionally meet up and look out for each other and stay abreast of each other's lives, and that's community. But I think a lot of people forget that like, oh, you have to actually like contribute.
Well, you don't have to show up. Especially in our society, we are taught that we should be investing if not all of our time and energy, most of our time and energy into romantic relationships.
Oh my God, this is a whole nother podcast.
And
I'm like, what's you too?
And I'm like, yes, but also we need to invest just the same amount of energy in our friendships.
Yes.
Because like friendships, people take them for granted. And I'm like, no, you have to intentionally set aside time for your friends just like you do for your partner.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people miss that. Yeah. And so I think that's one reason like my community is so strong here, because I have intentionally been like, okay, like I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Like we need to like go get a coffee or like even like hang out for like an hour or whatever it is. But like just making that investment of time. I was literally just talking about this with my male friend, because I think as women we're socialized that's like more okay for us to do, but for men it's not. And my friend David is like incredible at investing in his friendships with male and female friends. And I told him the other day, I was like, this is really beautiful to see, because I don't see a lot of men investing as much time in their community and in their friendships as you do. And he still is like best friends with his like childhood friends, like from high school and stuff, and they still hang out like all the time. And I'm like, a lot of people lose that because they aren't intentionally setting aside time. Yeah. And so once you start to like view your friendships kind of like mini romantic partnerships, then you're like, you can be like, oh, okay, like now I understand, like that's how I should be approaching my relationships with everyone, not just with someone I have a romantic attachment to.
That's a second set podcast. But it's so true, especially like in the age group we're in, because you know people are more strapped for time. Like careers are taking off and people are starting families, and I think it's easy for friendships to fall by the wayside. But I don't know, my friends who seem the happiest in their marriages are the ones who kind of didn't miss a beat. Like, yes, they had a kid, but they were like, oh,
they have
but
their
I'm
own
gonna
lives.
see you in 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was like very grateful for the ones who, like, to me, it seems like they still valued friendships even though their day-to-day had changed. And I feel like being abroad, we probably have to do the same thing with our friends in the U.S. where it's like,
100%.
I need to be intentional because like my life has changed. I'm far away or I'm traveling around the world, but I need to remember to like check in with people, and to call them and to do Zoom calls and to figure out visits back to the States to see them and invite them here. And it's just, it's an investment. And I think like we're such a like, I don't know, you know, I don't want to like misquote this article, but you know, there's like, people have the fewest number of friends they've ever had.
Oh,
it's like it's like 1 or 3 or something.
I know, it's so sad.
But it's also like we're so individualistic. Like think about like just jokingly on Instagram when people are like, I don't leave my house and I don't talk on the phone. I don't this, and it's like that's not healthy. Yeah, you don't have to have 20 friends, but you need one. Yeah, you need like at least one person.
Yeah, people are like so isolated.
Yeah, so it's like this culture. Our culture, U.S. culture, is so individualistic that I also think it's like a natural byproduct is that people don't understand like, oh, I need to invest in the people around. If they're not in front of me, and it's not super easy, then they're just like, oh, I'm not doing that. Yeah. Like I have friends who are like, I would never just like invite a stranger to coffee. I'm like, oh, I do it every week. Yeah, right. I like met a girl at yoga last week, and then we were like, do you want to get brunch? And then I ran into another friend, and she was like, is that your old friend? I'm like, no, I met her 2 hours ago. Yeah. I was like, oh, something's wrong with me.
No, I've done the same thing. That's when I met Udi.
Is that how you met him? That's
met
hilarious.
Udi at my yoga class, and we were going out to brunch afterwards, and so I was like, hey, I just met you, but do you want to come to brunch with this group? And he's like, sure. And I literally just ran into him on the street. I see him like every day now, just on the street.
Or even like people I've met like once in a group setting here, I'm always just like, I feel like it has happened both ways where I've done it or they've initiated, where you're just like, hey, I know I just met you, but like, do you want to hang out? And I'm like, that's all it takes to spark the beginning of a community.
And if they say no, they say no. But it's like, you're lost, bye.
One person said no, and I told you about her, and I remember.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay.
You're like, okay,
well, you're lost. You're lost. But also, I think, like, in the entrepreneurial world, there's a lot. So, like, there's also, like, on the other side, people calling things community when they're really just, like, informational groups.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I feel like here, like in WhatsApp, there's all these like expat groups, and I'm like, I actually have never made friends through them.
Yeah.
They're good for information sharing, but I'm like, this is to me not community, because I think you have to kind of meet in person or meet virtually to really call it a community. Like, to me, it's not community just to be like in a group. It's a start.
Yeah.
But I was like, the only group I can think that's like fostering community that I've come across is probably like Heather's group.
Yeah,
and she does a really good job of just like bringing people to taking it offline.
Yeah.
But also I realized, like, when I started Pithaya, I was like, okay, what's out here? And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of networking groups where you can pay, you know, thousands of dollars a year and go to this conference. And I'm like, well, I'm sure you can meet people at the conference, but like, what's the like ongoing connection?
What's sustaining it the other 364 days a year?
Right. Can I call you? They're like, no, at the conference. You're like, got it. There's like Facebook groups and meetup groups. Meetup groups, I'll, you know, give some credit. Like, there is a meeting component to it. But like Facebook groups, I'm like, there's 3,000 people in this group. Like, is this community? And yes, I think I've met like one person through one of those groups. It was a man, ironically, but I'm like, they never felt like community to me. They felt like great places to go to build community. I mean, to get information, maybe to ask a question. But I was like, I wouldn't come here on my like hard days and be like, hey guys, feeling impressed. They're like blocked.
Like, you have been removed from this group. You're like, thank you for the support.
I think community, there has to be some type of like meeting component. It can't just be like a bunch of groups. They're good starting points, but then that's to me like not community.
Eventually you have to take it offline.
Yeah, you should.
And it's like good practice, you know? Like, I feel like especially during the pandemic, a lot of people lost, I don't want to say completely lost their ability to like socialize, but it became like it's like a muscle you have to exercise. Like, if you're not working it out, you're gonna like lose it. That was like Miguel, my partner. I always call him the recovering mute. Ty, I love you. Because he was just so introverted in a way that was almost next level. Like, because it was coupled with like crippling social anxiety. And so eventually he just made the decision. He's like, I gotta put myself out there. Like, I cannot live the rest of my life like this. And he made the decision and he did it. And now I always make fun of him because I was like, you went from not speaking at all to now having to speak in a different language all the time. Like, not even in your native tongue. Because he's like, when he's with my family and my friends, he's just like speaking English all the time. And I'm like, look at you go. Having full-on conversations in English. I'm so proud of you.
It's huge, especially for men. Because you know they don't like change. So I'll give him credit next time I see him.
Yeah, you should.
Now, something else from Instagram. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But it was something about like, community is not always convenient. And they were like, people always say they want to be in community, and it's like when it's easy, right? Like, I think for me, college was the easiest community. I never had to think about it. It was like, I meet my friends. Like 4 of us had the same like first class of the day. We automatically had dinner. We automatically went to the bars on the weekend. So it was just like,
or it's like your sorority or whatever club.
Never had to think about it. And then as we get older and our lives become more complicated, it's like, it takes intention. Like, you have to be like, what's your schedule? And work around people, or also show up for people when you don't feel like it. You know, like, go to the thing, go to the birthday party. If you're like, not me for sick, that's fine. But if you're just like, oh, I don't want to be bothered, it's like, well, you need to like, you have to continuously like invest in these relationships. Like, not, to your point, not just your romantic relationship, but like the people who you want to have in your life. So I think that's like, we've kind of like I feel like there's a lot of, my algorithm on Instagram, there's a lot of like joking around like the whole like, I'm super introverted and I have no friends and that's okay. And I'm like, I think we should get away from that. And I think we should embrace more like or acknowledge or accept like the discomfort and the inconvenience that might come with community. But like any long-term relationship, like the overall good is going to outweigh
100%
the inconveniences. And if it's not, then that's not where you need to be. You probably should be in that community. If you're always dragging yourself to something that's probably not your group of people.
Yeah.
But like doing, I don't know, meeting for coffee with someone on a Saturday morning because that's the only time that works versus being like, well, I want to lay in bed. You have every right to rest, but sometimes we do have to like we have to just be intentional about it.
And see like the bigger picture of like, well, how do I want my life to look like? Do I want there to be people in it? Well, then I need to make an effort for there to be people in it. You know what I mean? It seems like obvious, but
it's like one of those little diagrams. Like, yes, well, then you have to do this.
Yeah,
then okay. But like, I don't know. You know how like, back to your point about like how women are conditioned to prioritize a romantic relationship. So one of the, like, I got this from Amazon, but it's not like new. It's like, working backwards. So like, I think about how that applies to business and to our lives. And for me, it's like, okay, if I'm looking at my life when I'm 90.
Yeah.
There's that, and then I'm like, okay, growing up, there was just this like, don't you want to get married so you don't die alone? And I'm like, you're gonna die alone. Like everyone's gonna actually die alone. Like it's a one-on-one relationship with God. Like you're gonna die alone. Yeah. But like, I'm like I realized probably in my 30s, like my fear isn't like not finding a partner and being like, oh, I'm old and I don't have a partner. It's more like at the end, I want to have like friends. Like I have friends from college, like community. Yes. Where we were like, we should like jokingly, we're like, we either should buy a house together that we retire or all like pick out the nursing home we want to go to and or just like, start a commune. And to me, I'm like, that's actually my like in the later life goal is to start a commune. Yeah. Like even in college, some of my friends and I joked like we should all live on the same block in Atlanta. That was the goal back then. And like live together. And I was like, that's the goal. Like if I find a husband, I do want to find a husband, but like that's not the goal. That's just like
it's a cherry on top.
Yeah, and that's a part of my life. But like
I want it, I don't need it.
Yeah, but I look at like when I'm 80 or however old, and it's like, okay, now I'm chilling. I want to chill with my friends.
100%.
I want to chill with like interesting people who are fun and who like give a shit about me.
Yeah,
and if the husband's there, that's great.
Yeah, great.
If you're listening and you're single and you're a man over
and
60
you're tall.
Give me a call. But it's like that. It's just like but this idea of like that fear they try to instill in women of like you need to find a husband or like your life won't have meaning. I'm just like...
Where, like, it's statistically proven that if you're a female who's unmarried, you will have a better quality of life. Yeah. But if you're a man who's unmarried, you have a lower quality of life. It's really just propaganda, everyone.
Yeah, yes. I think, like, for me, like, community is the end goal. And, like, I want to be, like, in a commune or in a nursing home. I don't necessarily want to be in a nursing home, a senior community.
Yeah.
Or just, like, living in a city with other people who are in the same life stage. Yeah. And just turn it up.
Like we are right now.
Yeah, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have like our canes and other things to help us get around, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So. I always see those like videos from like nursing homes and senior living facilities where all they're doing like the dances. Yeah. I was like, that's what I want.
That's what I want. I'm like, that's like the end goal.
Yeah. And Jean the dancing machine, who I met on my geriatric cruise a few years ago.
I forgot about that.
So just quick aside, I went on a 10-day cruise to Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, and my parents were supposed to go. And so this cruise line, I can't even remember, I like literally blacked out the name, primarily caters to like 50 plus, and my parents had to cancel last minute, and I was like, well, fuck it, I already have like the room, I'm going. Yeah. And so I was like a 30 something with like literally the next person who dated, she was like 50, and they were the young people on the cruise. And so my best friend was an 80-year-old named Jean, and it was her like 25th cruise with this cruise line. And so she was like known on the boat as Jean the Dancing Machine. And so she is living her best life. Like her husband had passed, so she still had like, obviously you can fit 2 people in the room. So she actually invited this woman who had worked on a different cruise line that she had met 13 years prior. She had never seen her again, but they had stayed in touch online. And so she invited her. And so this girl's name was Ghislaine, and she was actually my age. And so I immediately was like, oh my God, there's one other person my age. And she's like, oh, here's my companion. This is Jean. She's 80. And I was like, what? I was like, this is amazing.
Besties for us.
And literally Jean now lives in like a senior retirement facility or home, or I don't really know, in Australia. Yeah. And she always is like posting videos of like her and her friends like doing their little choreographed dances and stuff. And she's like she was like, oh, hey, Lolly, I'm going on this cruise. Yeah. We're going to be like in LA. Are you going to be around? Like she's still like trying to get me to join her on the cruise ships. It's like, I'm like, that's what I want. Like that's exactly what I want. Like still be traveling in like a way that isn't like gonna hurt my body, which is great for why there are all these 80 plus year olds on this cruise line.
So true.
And like, and like hanging out and doing like little dances at her like senior home. I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Gina's living it. And she didn't like, her husband died and she was sad, but she's like, I'm not going to let that slow me down. Like, I'm still going to live my life.
Okay, not to change subject.
Oh, yeah.
It's not my podcast. But one thing I wanted
That's fine.
No, but I know, like, one of the themes you're exploring in the podcast is, like, writing.
Yeah.
Writing to heal. And how that ties into a community.
Yeah.
I think you've built a community around writing. So I just wanted to, like, kind of share, just like when I did start Pithaya, that like, so I used to do these like weekly events, and my most popular one was journaling. And I think it was really interesting that like there was something about like, I think it broke down barriers, you know, where people just were forced to like not only think about like where their heads were, but also like present more vulnerably than it would maybe in a normal business setting. And people loved it. Like I would do challenges, and I was just like, that's so interesting because like in the business world we don't journal.
No.
Like, I don't think I've ever journaled. And it was like...
because then you have time for self-reflection, and that could take you away from doing your business priorities and getting your job done. Duh.
Take care of yourself.
It's like, what?
Take care of the stakeholders.
Yeah. That is precious time and mental energy you could be putting into getting your to-dos done.
No, so I just wanted to say I love what you're doing because I think that like... I think we think about journaling in this very like... not woo-woo way. It's kind of like a nice thing to do. Like, like, you know, it's like, I'm going to take my journal to the coffee shop. And I'm like, no, it's like a lifeline. It's also a really 100%. Good way to connect with other people because for me, like setting intentions and putting it on paper or writing about an experience on paper and then sharing with people, it's like, it becomes real. And for those intentions, like it creates accountability.
100%.
Which like for Pithaya, one of our pillars is like community to like foster accountability. Right? Because if you're working by yourself, it's so easy to be like, well, I'm going to fuck off today. Yeah. And it's like, no, if you have 10 people who give a shit about you, they're like, no, we're not going to let you fuck off. We're going to not make you, but we're going to hold you to like your higher self. Yeah. And do the thing you said you were going to do. And so I just found like over the years as I've tried different events, like writing's been a really good one to like connect people. Yeah. Like, you know, like beyond just like, oh, my goals are this. It's like, okay, but why are those your goals? Yeah. And like, what do you need to get there? And how are you feeling about those goals? And how are you feeling about like the way you're building your company? And so I love what you're doing. Yay. Yeah.
And it's not only accountability to the other people in like the group or the community, it's also to like the universe because you're speaking that out. And like, I really believe the universe reflects the energy you put out. Yeah. So it's like, all right, like you're making this contract with me. I'm going to help you, but that doesn't mean you can just like fuck off now. Like you still have to put in the work. So it's a contract with like your group, your community, the universe, but also with yourself. Yeah. And I think a lot of times, especially as entrepreneurs, when we don't have like the motivation to do things ourselves, the only people we're letting down is ourselves because we're not keeping that promise to ourselves. Yes. So even if it's like small promises that we keep to ourselves, I think that eventually like builds on each other. And you're like, oh yeah, remember I thought I couldn't do this thing and I did. Yeah. I can keep this bigger promise to myself now. And we can start kind of scaling the things that we want and the goals we want to like reach for because we have faith in ourselves that we can actually keep that promise.
Oh, I love that. And I love that perspective of like entrepreneurship is like a responsibility to like, I feel like ideas don't come to us randomly. Like the universe, God, whatever you believe in, like chose you for that idea. 100%. So you have a responsibility to bring it to life. And it doesn't, I think when we talk about entrepreneurship, people think it needs to be like big. It doesn't. It could be like starting an Etsy shop because you got the calling to make journals or bracelets or whatever. But like honoring that like assignment. Yeah, I love that.
And it is like an act of creation. And I really feel like we're here to create. Yeah. And we've lost that a lot. So if it is even just like, I want to create journals or I want to create macrame or like whatever it is, like listen to that call to create because through the act of creation, so many other things will start coming through once you listen to that first call. Yep. Like maybe you're just creating bracelets now, but the next call is going to be bigger and then it's going to be bigger and then it's going to be bigger. So like just the act of creating and getting in that practice, I think is really powerful.
Yeah. I was just talking to a friend the other day about this. We were talking about 2026 and like this idea of like, you know, new year, new me in January. And you set these lofty goals and it's like you realize when you get after them, it's not even about the goal. It's like who you become in the process. And to your point, like what else that opens up, right? Yeah. Because like action creates clarity. So like if you just have this inkling of like, oh, like, you know how people like will be like, oh, like I'm a writer, or they don't consider themselves a writer until they write a book. And it's like, no, if you write in a journal, you're a writer. You write things,
the act of writing makes you a writer.
And then the more you write in your journal, then you like get more ideas for like essays or short stories. And then that turns into a novel, or that turns into a freelance career, or whatever the case is. And so it's like, just show up, just take the first step, and then things will unfold as long as you keep showing up. And then the community will be there to help you show up. Yeah. Like, 'cause it's a lot to take on yourself, just to be, even the most, I mean, I don't know, I've definitely met people who are just like so laser focused, that mostly men who are like, I don't need community. I would argue they're also unwell in other ways, but like usually that's a trauma response. That 100%. Idea of like self-reliance,
of hyper independence,
and hyper like overdrive of like must achieve. I don't think that's healthy. I mean, I don't know. If you want $1 billion company, it may take some of that kind of energy, but I don't want that for myself or women. I think like part of my commitment to Pithaya is just like, I want to see a world with more women business owners, because we need a different type of leadership.
100%.
And like when women thrive, and thriving can mean starting $1 million business. It can also mean starting a $200,000 business, depending where you live. Yeah. But when women thrive, like everyone around them benefits, 100%. Right? Their children benefit, like their broader family benefits, like their communities benefit, because we're more likely to like give back and to like hire, and we're more likely
to like
just,
mentor.
And to build businesses in a more sustainable way for like the environment, for the people we're around. So like it's time for a change. Yeah. But so I'm like there's probably a percentage of entrepreneurs who are like, I don't need a community because I just go to WeWork. I'm going to WeWork after this. But I sit in the open area, and they're just like, 4 a.m. every day. Like, and if that works for them, great. But I'm like, I don't think that's sustainable, nor like what most people need to keep going. Like most of us just need community and just the little nudges along the way, because it's hard some days. It's a lot to put on yourself, especially when you start building a team, to be like, okay, I need to have the energy to lead my team, but like who's helping me? Yeah. You don't have a boss. Yeah, exactly. It's like me versus me. Yeah. So like for me, like community's been like just the thing that's kept me going, because I'm like, oh, when I forget who I am, like here are these people who are gonna be like, no, bitch, you need to get back on the path. And you're like, oh yeah, you're right.
And they're not just there as like a sounding board, they're also there to celebrate you. Yes. Which I think is just as important, because especially as we've spoken about what our society tends to value, we tend to only celebrate things that have to do with like getting married or having babies, and it's like, no, we need to celebrate things like my business is my baby. Mm-hmm. Like, so I had a huge party for my launch party, because I was like, this is my baby shower, you know, like, and so like having that community that will celebrate those things with you, because they understand and value those things the same way you do, is really important too.
And even the little wins, like the things that you're just like, I don't know, like I recently like applied something I learned from like a coach I was working with to like a hard conversation, and it like went well, and I'm like, this is a big win for me. Yeah. Because like 10 years ago, this conversation would have felt more uncomfortable. Yeah. I maybe wouldn't have like actually gotten through to the person, and the person and I have a much better relationship now because of it. And I'm like, those are the things like only other entrepreneurs are going to get, 100%. Because you're just like, you're not going to put that on your Instagram, but it's like, those are the wins that like keep you motivated, because you're like, and then
you're like, I did make progress.
Yeah. And that's the part of the whole, like who you become in the process. Like that, it's stuff like that where like they're wins, but they're not like material wins.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's going to celebrate you figuring out a new formula in Google Sheets, but you're like, oh, this is a game changer.
Oh my God, I don't have to do math.
Yeah, I'm like, what? This is so easy. So no, it's, you got to find your people, whether it's entrepreneurship or if it's, becoming a new mom, whatever the case is, like you got to find people who are going to like uphold you in this new phase
and celebrate you. Yeah. Even like releasing this podcast, I've had so many people be like, oh my God, I listened to it, like I loved it, and I was like, wow, that's so encouraging for me to keep going, because it was like, am I just putting this out into the void? I guess we'll see, And so like having those people just like celebrating me, like it really pushes you to keep going and keep trying new things.
I love it. Well, I'm glad you started it.
Yeah, I'm glad you're
on to hear all the episodes. What else do you have for me?
Well, I think that's it. I think we're good. All
corporate.
Like, can I have more?
Can we just circle back on what's next?
I mean, is there anything else you want to share? No. I know she came prepared with her notes.
No, prepared. I imagine we'll post on social media. But if you want to get involved with Pithaya, we're on Instagram, and we're revamping the website. Should be up soon. I actually have a call with those people after this.
Exciting.
And yeah, just, I don't know, hopefully this encourages someone who feels, isolated, or just like it's been hard to make friends or build community, just to take that first step. And like, it's kind of like dating. Like, yeah, you might, but you might get rejected, quote unquote, but like, make the first step towards like connecting with someone, even if it feels awkward. And you'll be surprised at like how often people say yes, and then
very true,
how that can grow from there. So
and honestly, rejection is not as bad as people think it is.
No,
you get like used to it. After the first couple times, you're like, oh, okay, cool, you're lost, bro. Bye. I mean, I have the same approach in dating, so for me, doing it with friends is like way easier. I'm like, okay.
And most people are like, if you're feeling something towards someone, 9 times out of 10, they feel something towards you. So if you see someone in a coffee shop and you're like, oh, that person looks cool, they probably feel the same way about you. Like,
it's like the energetic matches. You're like, you're already communicating at another level. So you're like, oh, okay, I feel this energy. Okay. Like, I literally went to pick up a sandwich earlier, and this guy, when I walked up, was like dancing to the music, and I was like, I looked at him and I was like, yes. And, like, I started dancing. I was like, I love this vibe. He had his like headphones in, but I didn't care. I was
gonna say, now he's coming to
I like his next year. Honestly, maybe. I do invite random strangers to my Thanksgiving.
The other thing I would say is, like, if you can't find community, like if you've moved to a new city or you start a new business in like a niche that like no one else is in, whatever the case is, if you can't find it, like, start your own. Like, you can start on Meetup. You can start with Facebook. Like, it is a good way to like find like-minded people. You can start a WhatsApp group, but just like, you can start it. You don't have to be extroverted. You don't have to have a background in events or something. It's just like, you just
plant the seed.
Yeah, plant the seed, and then just like put intention behind it and foster like in-person things. Or virtual if it's like, but Zoom is fine. Just foster things to connect people on a regular basis. And it will grow.
It will.
Well,
thank you so much
for having me.
This is so great.
This is amazing.
And I also we have a webinar together that I will put in the show notes. So if you want more of us,
they're like,
if you want more, then you can also watch that webinar on demand. Well, thank you, my dear.
You too. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.